Throughout history, some philosophers have done more than just reflect on their present conditions. They've peered into the future, offering predictions about the evolution of society, morality, and human thought. From Aristotle's foundational ideas that shaped centuries of scientific inquiry, to Nietzsche's prophetic vision of a world grappling with nihilism, these thinkers didn't just analyze their own times, they foresaw what was yet to come. Today, we'll explore how four great minds, Aristotle, Hegel, Marx, and Nietzsche, looked beyond their own eras to predict developments that would unfold long after their time. By diving into their works, we'll uncover how their insights shaped the world we live in today, and how their predictions continue to resonate in modern philosophical and political thought. Join me as we journey through the visions of these philosophers, uncovering their thoughts on the future and how their ideas have stood the test of time. Our journey begins with Aristotle, one of the most influential figures in Western philosophy. Living in the 4th century BCE, Aristotle was a student of Plato and later became the tutor of Alexander the Great. His work spanned many disciplines: ethics, politics, metaphysics, biology, and his ideas have shaped the foundation of Western thought for centuries. Aristotle's approach to philosophy was systematic and empirical, emphasizing observation and logic. This method laid the groundwork for the scientific method, which would not be fully developed until the Renaissance. Aristotle's predictions about the natural world and his categorization of living organisms anticipated future scientific discoveries. One of Aristotle's most profound contributions is his concept of the unmoved mover. This idea posits that there is a primary cause or force that sets the universe in motion without itself being moved by anything else. This notion would later influence both medieval Christian theology and the development of metaphysical thought, foreshadowing debates about the nature of existence in the universe that continue to this day. In his work, Nicomachean Ethics, Aristotle introduced the idea of the golden mean, the virtuous path between extremes. This concept of moderation in ethics has had a lasting impact, predicting the future development of moral philosophy. His idea that virtue lies in balance is a principle that echoes through the ages, influencing thinkers from Thomas Aquinas to contemporary philosophers. Aristotle's influence reaches far beyond his own time. By laying the foundation for scientific inquiry and ethical reasoning, Aristotle predicted many of the intellectual advancements that would shape the future of human civilization. His work set the stage for centuries of philosophical and scientific exploration, making him not just a philosopher of his time, but a visionary for the ages. Our next philosopher, Georg Wilhelm Friedrich Hegel, lived during a time of immense change in Europe, the late 18th and early 19th centuries. As the French Revolution and the Napoleonic Wars reshaped the continent, Hegel developed a philosophy that sought to explain not only the events of his time, but also the very process of historical change itself. Hegel is best known for his dialectical method, a process of development where conflicting ideas, thesis and antithesis, clash, eventually resolving into a higher synthesis. He applied this method to history, arguing that history is a rational process, driven by the unfolding of the world spirit, or Geist. Hegel believed that history progresses through stages, each stage representing a more advanced form of freedom and self-consciousness. In his philosophy of history, Hegel argued that the end of history would be the realization of absolute freedom, a state in which human societies fully embrace reason and self-determination. This idea foreshadowed later theories about the evolution of societies and political systems, influencing thinkers like Karl Marx. While Hegel didn't predict specific events, his idea that history moves toward a rational and free society resonated deeply with future political ideologies. His concept of the dialectic influenced Karl Marx's theory of class struggle, which we'll explore next. But Hegel's vision extended even further, predicting a future where reason and freedom would be fully realized, an idea that has inspired countless movements and revolutions. Hegel's vision of history as a rational unfolding process has left a profound legacy. His belief that the future holds the promise of greater freedom and reason has influenced generations of philosophers, political theorists, and activists. In many ways, Hegel's work serves as a bridge between the past and the future, predicting not just the events of his time, but the very trajectory of human progress. Our journey through the foresight of philosophers now brings us to Karl Marx, a thinker who profoundly impacted the 19th and 20th centuries with his revolutionary ideas. Living during the height of the Industrial Revolution, Marx observed the profound inequalities between the working class and the capitalists who owned the means of production. His analysis led him to a startling conclusion, one that would shape the course of modern history. Marx believed that history was driven by material conditions and class struggle, a continuous conflict between the oppressors and the oppressed. In his landmark work, The Communist Manifesto, co-authored with Friedrich Engels, Marx predicted that this struggle would culminate in a revolutionary upheaval, where the proletariat, the working class, would overthrow the bourgeoisie, the ruling capitalist class. This, Marx argued, was not just a possibility, but an inevitable outcome of the capitalist system. Marx's prediction wasn't just a theoretical exercise, it was a call to action. He saw capitalism as inherently unstable, with its internal contradictions leading to crises that would eventually bring about its downfall. The proletariat, according to Marx, would rise up, seize control of the means of production, and establish a classless, communist society. This vision of the future was both a prediction and a blueprint for revolutionary movements around the world. Indeed, Marx's predictions came to life in the 20th century, as revolutions inspired by his ideas took place across the globe, from Russia to China and beyond. While the outcomes of these revolutions varied, Marx's foresight into the dynamics of class struggle and the vulnerabilities of capitalism proved remarkably prescient. Marx's prediction of a class struggle leading to the overthrow of capitalism has had a lasting impact on both history and contemporary thought. His vision, though controversial, anticipated many of the social and economic conflicts that would define the modern world. As we move forward, we'll see how Nietzsche's philosophical foresight took a different but equally impactful approach to predicting the future. Finally, we arrive at Friedrich Nietzsche, a philosopher whose bold and often unsettling ideas have left an indelible mark on modern thought. Nietzsche lived during the late 19th century, a time of profound social and cultural transformation. Witnessing the decline of traditional values and the rise of modernity, Nietzsche foresaw a future where these changes would lead to a deep existential crisis, one that he described as the coming of nihilism. Nietzsche declared that God is dead, a metaphorical statement reflecting the collapse of traditional religious and moral values in the wake of scientific and intellectual progress. He predicted that this would lead to nihilism, a state in which life is seen as devoid of inherent meaning, leaving humanity adrift in a purposeless universe. But Nietzsche didn't stop at merely diagnosing this crisis. He also offered a radical vision for overcoming it. In response to the rise of nihilism, Nietzsche introduced the concept of the Übermensch, or overman. The Übermensch is an individual who transcends conventional morality, creating their own values and living life with a sense of purpose and power. Nietzsche envisioned the Übermensch as a future ideal, a new kind of human being who could face the void of nihilism without despair, instead finding strength in the ability to shape their own destiny. Nietzsche's predictions about the rise of nihilism and the need for a new type of human have echoed throughout the 20th century and beyond. His ideas have influenced existentialist thinkers like Jean-Paul Sartre and Albert Camus, who grappled with the meaning of life in a seemingly indifferent universe. Nietzsche's vision has also permeated popular culture, inspiring countless works of literature, film, and art that explore themes of power, morality, and the human condition. Though Nietzsche's predictions were controversial in his time, they have proven remarkably prescient. His exploration of nihilism and the Übermensch continues to challenge and inspire, offering a vision of the future where humanity must create its own meaning in a world that no longer offers easy answers. As we reflect on Nietzsche's foresight, we can see how his ideas, like those of Aristotle, Hegel, and Marx, continue to shape our understanding of what the future holds. As we reach the end of our exploration, it's clear that the predictions of these great philosophers, Aristotle, Hegel, Marx, and Nietzsche, have left a profound legacy. Their insights into the future were not just academic exercises. They were visions that shaped and continue to shape the trajectory of human history.